What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Tesla Geek Show. I am Anwar Beck.
And I'm Eli, and on this week's episode of the Tesla Geek Show, we are featuring the traveling TesLatino and his wife, Nancy. This is going to be an awesome episode. If you like adventure, if you're excited to see what the Cybertruck is capable of, you're not going to want to miss this one.
Yo, yo!
Dude, it's good to be back.
I know, dude. I'm so pumped for our guests today. Our two guests, actually. These are legends in the Tesla community. Our friend Rafa TesLatino, or better known as TesLatino, and his wife Nancy. Dude, these guys are, when you find out the adventures that these guys are on, you're going to lose your mind. This is so amazing.
And I mean, they've been on this, you know what, we're going to just have to bring them up because they've been on this adventure so long. I feel like it's been as long as I've known him. Now, it hasn't been that long, but they've done so much. In the last few months alone, it seems like it's more than almost anybody else has done their entire lifetime owning a Tesla. And definitely more than I've done in this entire year. So without further ado, TesLatino and Nancy, welcome to the Tesla Geek Show.
Hey, what's happening, guys?
What's good with you guys, man? You guys have been everywhere. So, like, tell us how long ago did this start? Like, this trip you're on, like, you know, with you and Nancy with the Cybertruck. Like, how long ago did you leave Florida? Like, where did this all begin?
Well, we left Florida on June 10th. Today is August the 20th. So we've been on the road for a little bit over 3 months. Yeah. And we left Florida to embark on a different mission than we are right now.
Real quick, you've been on the road for 3 months. Have you ever spent this much time on the road in this capacity before?
3 months, no. But we tend to always, even before we had an electric car, we always did road trips. And, you know, carried our own cooler and ways of supporting ourselves and whatnot. But this is a unique trip, to say the least. Yeah.
So in June, when you guys kicked it off, was there a particular event, or basically just like you guys got the Cybertruck and got prepared and then, you know, kind of planned things and then went off? Like, what was the milestone that kind of kicked things off?
So what happened was that shortly, so if I backtrack before we started the current trip, back in March when I picked up the Cybertruck, we were actually 8 months into planning a trip to Moab from Miami. And the same week that we were going to depart Miami to go to Moab, I got delivery of the Cybertruck. So that's the first trip that we did. So it was like roughly 7,000 miles because we went to Moab and then we went to Start Base. It was a crazy trip. But, you know, fast forward a few months, we did another trip, and then the current one, which we left on June 10, which was the main purpose of it was to go wrap the truck, which we did in North Carolina. From there, we went to Michigan for the Tesla Owners Michigan Club event. Yeah, summer event. And that turned into a very exponentially larger trip. We ended up going to cover three quarters of Canada. Basically, we went into Canada through Ontario, across Michigan, and went all the way to Nova Scotia. But a few things happened before that, and that kind of set the stage to extend the trip the way it is right now. Otherwise, we would probably be home already, kind of.
So how many unique places, in counting, estimate, do you think you guys have camped at so far?
It's almost impossible. I would have to refer back to like actual navigation data that I keep track of, but it's got to be hundreds.
Wow, hundreds, and that's just on this Cybertruck that you're on, the Cybertruck tour.
On the Cybertruck, on this trip that we are on right now, I would have to say probably not hundreds, but definitely tens of locations. Just because when you're in the Tesla community, just like in any car community, the embrace of your fellow community members is such that even when we are traveling, sometimes we have basically no other option but to accept our community members hosting us. So sometimes we stay at places where we're not actually camping. But those are like the least amount of times. There were a couple of exceptions that were planned when we were in Nova Scotia. For example, I stayed 2 weeks in our friend Trevor's house over there in Canada. And, along the way, I stayed one night in one place, another night in a different place. But other than that, everything was basically in Canada, it's Crown land. Here in the US is BLM land, or Bureau of Land Management land, where you can camp in any forest for free and you just boondog. If you are self-sustained, you can do it. So that's what we like to do.
So you guys have been all over, a combination of staying at friends' places, obviously getting some hotels sometimes, camping in the vehicle. So my next question is for you, Nancy, actually. Of all the places you guys have been so far, which one's been your favorite, and what about it made that such an enjoyable experience for you?
Which one has been my favorite? Wow, it's hard to pick just one location because everywhere we go, or there's always something special, whether it's the stars, whether it's just the moon, or even the sunrise. It's just hard to just say, okay, let's say like Lake Tahoe, or where we just stayed at Mount Shasta. It was like there's always something unique in each and every place that it's just hard to say this is the best one. Yeah, there's always something that makes it special.
So a lot of people try to travel all over the world to seek out, beautiful rivers and beautiful scenery. It's amazing how much there is in the US. And
Hmm.
the way you guys are traveling, basically just going through the entire United States and Canada, like I think that's so special. You're going to get to know this country better than most people, I feel like.
Yes, we
Absolutely.
have so far. Yes, we have been to places that you look at them and it's like, wow, it's like a little kid,
Yeah.
and you take a picture of it and you send it to your family members, and they're like, did you filter that? No.
Yeah.
This is reality. This is what the colors look like. This is how everything looks like. This is Mother Nature
Yeah, it's like
talking.
like Crater Lake
Oh my
yesterday was
God,
insane.
yes.
The blue of the thing is almost like her shirt, and the scenery was just bonkers. I couldn't believe it. Very few places that you see in the world have that impact when you see them. But the problem is that, like Nancy was saying, when we go to different places, it's just every place that we go to that is new and is unique becomes at
Like
the
the very
moment
next one.
it's the current favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
And I do want to give a massive shout out. I think they mentioned that, they connect with community members as they go. I think part of the reason why so many people invite you guys with open arms is you guys do so much for the community. I don't know many people like you guys that are so just like all in on helping the Tesla community, spreading, the right information about Tesla and your enthusiasm. Uh, TesLatino even supported an event that I did in Austin before he even started on his trek. He drove all the way from Miami to do a Cybertruck, the Cybertruck rodeo event that we did. Drove all the way from Miami to come support. And we did. I think you came and crashed to my house, and it was
yeah.
so fun to hang out for a couple of days. And then we went up and we got to race our Cybertrucks around our friend's dirt track. I think you had a blast. Is that
It was
right,
in,
Rafa?
yeah, it was incredible. I was ripping the rallycross track for half an hour at a time.
I
I
remember.
said, I thought to myself, I'm gonna try to see if this thing is gonna break or not. That way, I know what to
Yeah.
expect. And it was incredible. It was solid like a rock. I mean, absolutely no complaints about Cybertruck. And the funny thing is that one thing that you just reminded me about is the fact that we do like to help others. I run the local Tesla Owners Club in South Florida. But when I designed the trip that took us to Canada, uh, my main objective was not just to drive. Like I enjoy driving. To some people, it's, oh, that must be miserable spending X amount of hours on the roads. Like, you don't understand. I'm a car guy that loves being behind the wheel. But at the same time, I like to see places, experience them, and whatnot. But the one thing that was my main goal, which I feel like I was successful, was once in Canada, I wanted to show the Cybertruck to as many people in Canada as possible because of the potential delays of having it. and I wanted to see what the excitement was going to be, if it was going to be, and the way that the Canadian people received the Cybertruck was insane. Like we had people talking about it without us knowing. They were like tracking us, etc. Like we can deep dive onto that, but you know, the fact that we were able to do that for Canada, and then shortly after they started opening the reservations. It's like I did it. We did it.
It was fun.
So you worked out to be like the perfect accidental. I mean, you just decided to do this timing to like get people excited about the vehicle right as they made it available. Like that's perfect, man. That's awesome. And you know, there's a lot of Cybertrucks out there. A lot of people have done some wraps, which you've done a very cool wrap on your Cybertruck, especially like, you know, the My Tesla Adventure logo that we remade. It's so in the same vibe, man. We do the same, like we like to go out and have the same adventures and experiences. So I can't wait that on the way back from your next leg, we're going to get to go camp together. It's going to be so much fun. But you have done something very unique with your Cybertruck. You've built, you know, this entire chassis, this entire frame. You know, I want to dive more into that. So to start off with, tell us what at a high level you've built so far, and you know what put you on that direction. Like you had a purpose, right, that you wanted to build it for, and you've turned your Cybertruck from just an off-the-line Cybertruck into a purpose-built vehicle. So tell us about that purpose, and tell us about that process you went through to build.
Yeah.
What's her name, by the way? What's the name of your Cybertruck?
It's called Ultra Doom.
Ultra Doom. There we go.
Yes.
Tell us about the process that you've been so far, because I know you have more to do, building Ultra Doom.
Yeah, so the main thing is that since I took it on the road before the long trip, I kind of already had a good sense of what are the limitations to spend a lot of time on the Cybertruck. We experienced, like when we were in Moab, we actually slept a couple of nights on the bed of the truck because we kind of had it almost empty. So we had a mattress back there. It was 30 degrees at night. So we were able to sleep there, but it wasn't very comfortable in the sense that it felt claustrophobic. And the fact that Tesla did a window slider to connect the cabin with the truck bed, that made me start thinking of those solutions. So I set myself a goal of trying to do whatever I could to build a frame so that I could have a horizontal, stable, line to mount a rooftop tent. And that's what kind of led me to this journey. And I was actually already started. I actually have 3 designs because I was intent on building it myself. But once things started happening, I discovered other methods of doing this. And when I started getting more serious about the travel adventures, when was the event in California was a month and a half ago or so. We had an event in California, the takeover, where I met these new startup guys. They go by the company name Urander, and they had this beautiful frame that now is on my truck, literally the one that they had at the event. We started talking about plans of a very special expedition that we're embarking on next week, and we kind of agreed to become partners. So I am now actually using the prototype that they built before going to production. So that's how we ended up having the frame that is hosting the tent. And with that, the other intent was I wanted mole panels so I can build around the truck a proper overlanding setup, which means carry things that we would not necessarily want to have inside the truck, so that we can still carry them and be useful for us. So things like recovery gear, extra water tanks, and storage, and all these other things that you need when you're like. So overlanding is a community also. The overlanding community, we like to go to remote places, but you don't have to have a special rig. Like I literally saw a guy in a Prius that had it set up for overlanding. So he has his own setup. He knows his limitations. We carry what we can.
That's what I call it,
Yeah.
by the way, the Prius.
Prius.
An overlanding
Yeah.
Prius. That
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I want to see a picture of. That's incredible.
I took a photo of that of one that we saw actually, as a matter of fact, when we were still in California, and we already had the frame. We have another co-sponsor of us that is the company that built the tent that's on the top. They're called Inspired Overland. And when we were mounting the tent on this frame, a guy came to just to look at the truck, and he was on a Prius that looked like a rally cross car, with off-road tires, lights, and crossbars, and the whole setup. And I took a photo of the guy. I'll show you guys. Yeah.
He was super happy to see the truck.
So let's talk about one of the details of your setup. And this is something I saw in a video that you showed me, and we'll include it here, embed it in the podcast. Your guys' is on top of the car tent is not like what I've seen on top of other cars. And I don't just mean in the way it pops out. I mean the view you guys get up there. How far off the ground are you guys?
Oh, well, the truck usually goes to about, I think it's like 7 or 8 feet tall on the tallest part, probably a little bit higher with the frame. So we're pretty high up there. I want to say close to 10 feet up above the ground. And then the tent itself has its own height. But yeah, it's pretty high out there. And it's got openings on both sides, the back, and there's a window on the top by the door. And we get incredible views of the night sky. If we are in a forest, so basically there's no one else but other campers. If they reach the location where we decided to camp, because sometimes it's hard for other people. That's what we like to do. We like to go deep inside the forest, so that if you get there, you have to have at least a 4x4, all-wheel drive car that is capable of rock climbing and stuff like that, because that's where we like to go. So we're more isolated. And if that's the case, we just let the back of the tent open so we can have a full view at any given moment during the night, where we open our eyes and we're looking in the sky. So yeah, it's really incredible.
It's pretty high.
I tease our good friend Ryan at Kilowatts all the time because he's asleep on top of his car, not in his car guy. I tease him about it constantly. I am such a sleep in my car guy, not on top, until I saw your setup. That is unreal. You have like a portable second story view. So like you can go places that, like, there's a lot of places that people who haven't gone off-roading don't know. When you really get out into nature, you're in the bush. There can be bushes, like actual plant matter that goes up to the like high level, like 5-6 feet. Mm-hmm. So having the ability to get above all that and then see that view up there, that's incredible.
Yeah, and we so we have a Model Y long range at home that is also built for camping. We have full camper kit installed. We have a stove and a fridge and a bed and everything, but it's inside. And we wanted to take it up a notch with the Cybertruck, so we decided to install that tent, which happens to be not because one thing that people should know about me is that if I am using a product and I'm talking about it, the only reason why I do it, even when it is sponsored, is that I like it. I really honestly like this tent. And it's very low profile. That's one of my favorite things, that it's low profile. It's carbon fiber, so it's very lightweight, and the impact on range, just the tent is negligible. Like, you cannot tell. I have much other stuff on the truck. Like, I have a massive Starlink dish on top of the frame, besides the tent, and then I have like recovery gear on the side. Like, you could probably kind of see them on the back. That part back there behind us, the frame is the part that looks darker. Those are recovery boards that I use for traction or in other cars to level up. The Cybertruck has self-leveling, so I don't have to use those for leveling. But yeah, that's pretty much how it all came to be.
So when you guys camp, how long does it take you to set up? I'm assuming you put it in camper mode or whatever, right? It does not like stabilize the truck, and then putting the tent up and all that. Is that like a long process?
So it takes about maybe 30 seconds to open up the tent because it has one clip on each side and two clips on the back. You unclip those and you push it up, and the tent is ready to go.
What?
What yeah, so
That's crazy.
we're spending between 10 and 15 minutes putting an actual tent on the ground, which we were actually doing for most of this trip until just
Mhm.
recently when we installed this tent. That was also another thing that we wanted to be a little bit safer because we're going to be going to places where there's more nature, more wildlife,
Mm-hmm.
and being above the ground gives us a better view farther away, as well as being a little bit more incognito. Like if an animal comes around
With
the car,
animals,
it's
yeah.
different than climbing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I feel like all the Tesla talked about all these Cybertruck accessories, right? Like at one point we saw along. I don't think any of them have come out really yet, but it'd be really cool if they used you as like a proto pilot, like incognito, give you all the, you know what I mean? Because you're really utilizing it just to test
Mm-hmm.
out what Tesla's planning on doing with that stuff, the tent,
I yeah,
accessories,
mhm,
all that stuff.
absolutely. I will test anything that makes sense at least once, and then make a choice based on my experience. I would be more than glad to collaborate with Tesla closely to make the product even better.
And Cybertruck is a really interesting one, and I'd love to hear your take on this, Rafael, and you as well, Anwar Beck, because you guys have kind of gone different directions with your Cybertrucks. Cybertruck is so unlike any other Tesla, not just in its look, which it looks entirely different, but also because of its design. It feels like to me Cybertruck is a perfect vehicle chassis from which anybody can take and build on top of it like Legos and build their own infrastructure around it and build it into whatever purpose they need to. And I feel like because of the shape and because of the way they've done the back of the vehicle and some of these other elements, they've really set it up really well for people to modify in a way that is not like the other Teslas.
Hmm.
What do you guys think about that?
I agree 100%. I think this is a platform that is highly customizable. You can set it up for racing off road, like Baja style. You can set it up for camping. You can set it up for a combination of both those things. I think the time that I've already spent with the truck and modifying it has allowed me to better understand kind of the vision that Tesla, Elon and Franz and other guys like Wes. And I mean, there's a large group of people that have been working very, very hard. And I understand their vision now. This thing is insanely customizable. It's really unlike anything I've seen before. And I'm a car guy, but not just cars. I used to also have a turbo diesel F-150, F-250 Ford pickup truck for servicing heavy machinery equipment. So I know about trucks, and this is by far one of the best things that I've seen in my life. It's so versatile that it's unbelievable, and it rides like it's a if you wanted to feel like it's a luxury vehicle in terms of how it floats over the road, you can do that. But when it's time for crunch time and you need to do like hardcore stuff, it can also do that. So it's incredible, really.
That's awesome. How many thousand miles have you driven on the vehicle? I feel like you've put a decent amount on there, right?
Yeah. Well, in the last 4 months, I've driven 28,498 miles.
Wow. Okay, almost 30,000 miles in so many different states, a couple of different countries. If it sounds like Elon is tracking your adventures as well on X. If
Yeah.
you had a chance after you're finished to grab lunch with Elon and tell him, I'm sure there's a lot of great positive feedback. It sounds like you've had so many, like, it's almost like the only way to really know all the benefits of Cybertruck is to push it to the limits like you guys have. Most people like me don't do things of this nature, but what are some improvements or things that you think, hey, like if we did this, or things that stood out to you that like Eli and I would never think about because we can't be in your shoes and we didn't have the kind of adventure that you guys did?
Well, I would say for overlanding type of travel like we're doing right now, there is one thing that is by design. It's not a flaw. It's just by design right now. If you tell the truck to self level, so that your sleeping is very comfortable. What happens is that the self-leveling feature right now is meant to be used with the native, Tesla tent, and that tent requires the tonneau to be open because it's like a third of the tent is inside the bed. So the problem with that is that when you have an aftermarket tent that goes on the roof or a higher line, and you have valuables inside your bed, then you can't you can't close it because the self-leveling mode requires the tunnel to be open. And in our case, I need it to be closed. So I think that would be probably my main request right now, that they add the features so that when you put it on self-leveling mode, so that the truck doesn't force the tunnel to be closed. I'm sorry, to be open.
Open.
That
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
like
yeah.
my main thing.
Interesting.
Um,
This seems like something very fixable. Maybe once we put this out
Software.
there, we can tweet at Elon and something that they could fix with software very easily.
Yeah, I think it's a good chance. It's a good improvement. It probably, and I say this with the utmost respect for developers because I know coding as well. But I personally, without seeing the code, right? I'm not trying to downplay the complexity of the code, but from what I know of coding, I think this would be a fairly simple thing to add, so that when the the truck is in self-leveling mode for camping, you have a toggle. Just add a toggle switch that says yes, like use the native or override that so that we can open and close the tunnel. Because right now I have to have it open if it's calibrated. If it's not calibrated, which means that there's a misalignment on the tunnel, then you can open it and close it as you will, as you please, which is actually how we are using it right now. My tunnel right now is asking me to recalibrate it, but it's working perfectly fine. So I will not recalibrate it so that I can open it and close it as I please when the truck is leveled.
Nancy, as a co-adventurer with your husband, what are things that stood out to you or like surprised you? Because I feel like TesLatino's passion for Tesla is like ours. It's we get into the weeds and deep. I'm not sure if you're at the same level or you just like the adventure, but what are things that surprised you about the truck that you didn't know about, and as you kind of discovered it, it just kind of like shocked you?
I want to hear this.
Well, pretty much we're on the same level. But when I first saw the truck at the reveal, Raphael was
I was in front of
at
the stage.
you were in front of the stage. I was inside the Model Y watching the event, and when I first saw it, I was just like the audience. Everybody was quiet, and everybody was like, "Okay, is this serious? Is what we are looking for?" But then when Elon got out of the truck, I was like, well, Elon in France is always going to be Elon in France, right? Everybody has to be different. So, um, honestly, at first when I saw it, I was like, "Ugh, like really? Like he's like, oh, I'm going to put a deposit on it. I was like, oh, okay, let's put the deposit on it, you know? Um, when we took delivery, or actually when we saw it in person,
Yeah.
um, I scope it and I kept scoping, taking pictures, and I'm like, huh, I think it's growing on me. But I want to see inside. I want to get in the car. I want to drive it. I want to feel it. And
And now what?
sorry, it's mine. It's not yours. I'm, I'm, I'm in love with the truck. I'm in love with the truck. When we took delivery, I took a ride around the parking lot. So I was like, oh my God, I love it. When we drove to Moab, we were leaving the complex of the house, and he pulls over and he was trying to answer someone that was tweeting him or sent him a text. And he turns around and he goes, do you want to drive?
That was
Sure,
it.
get out now. Like, I want to get on the driver's seat. So I took the first drive towards Moab, a
Yeah.
few,
Yeah.
and I fell in love with it, and I love it. I love it.
So our my wife and I have a similar story. We were in the front row. Eli was right there with us. The car comes out. Nancy, I had the same reaction you did, and people joke if Elon had a fan club, I'd be president, right? So it's definitely a pro Elon, pro Tesla guy, and I saw it come out, and I was like, what in the heck? Like, it's so hard for your eyes, and we're just not used to seeing something that's so different. But by the end of the night,
Mm-hmm.
I just kept walking around it. Rafa, we were at the event, right? I don't know what it was, but like
Yeah.
the more time you spent, the more you loved it.
Yep.
So apparently, I got super drunk and forgot that I ordered it. I woke up in a cold sweat the next day, and I remember doing this, and I was like, "Oh my god, I forgot to put a deposit down." And my wife was like, "Dude, calm down. You just got like you did do it. You just forgot." And then we took delivery of the vehicle. My wife drove it like once or twice. She loves big cars, and even she was like, "I want this." I
Mm-hmm.
did not expect that. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's an incredible product. I mean, a lot of people that you really like. I do that with my friends now. Instead of me talking your ear off, I literally hand them the key. I've lent my car out to so many of my friends because
Mm-hmm.
you have to experience it in order to understand it. It's
Yep.
not.
Mm-hmm.
I can talk about it all day long. It doesn't matter. Once you sit,
Yep.
Nancy, what you did, like once you drive it, that's like a whole. It's a game changer
It
immediately.
is.
Yeah.
It is.
It's a crazy machine.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go a different direction with this one. So you guys are getting ready, I think, starting in about a week. You're beginning a trip that was planned by Bearded Tesla, right? We heard a little bit about it on Spaces. We heard a little bit about it when he was on the podcast. Yeah. I know this is a trip he's planned. He's got a lot going on, and he's been working on this, for a while. So I know there's a lot of details that you can't talk about and don't want to step over any lines. But can you give us a little like insight into what you guys are going to be participating in?
Yeah, we're gonna go where no Cybertruck has gone before, basically, in the way that we're going to do it. That's basically what I mean. We are going to do an adventure with two Cybertrucks, a team of 4 adults, on two Cybertrucks, and it's going to be great for both the current and the future of transportation of electric vehicles in general. Uh, I wish I could say more, but in a week from now, everything will be revealed, and the story that we're telling and the things that we're going to leave behind are going to be, so yeah, special.
Well, we're excited to see that as you guys go along the way. We'll be following, sharing what you guys are doing on X. And we'll ask the community to do the same because this is such an awesome moment. Something like this, is what you guys have been doing in general, right? Like it's fantastic to see this expanding into you guys getting to link up with somebody else who's like, kind of headed in the same direction. Do you guys have any final thoughts for us about the two of you, your adventures? Tell people where they can follow you and subscribe if they want to support what you're doing, which I've already subscribed. So everybody watching, you should absolutely subscribe.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I would say, first of all, thank you for having us on the show. I meet a lot of people on a daily basis that ask me questions about the truck or try to educate me on what are the things that the truck cannot do, which are completely mistaken. And many people just ask me how can they travel the way that they want, but they don't know how to do it. And I start helping them understand it. But at the end of the day, what matters the most is that you just take a leap of faith, educate yourself a little bit in terms of what you think should be done in order to be both safe and have fun at the same time, and just do it. I know there's a company that uses the "just do it" tag officially, but it's a phrase that sticks with me all the time, especially after some things that I've gone through. I decided that I will never wait again to do something that I want to do, because you only have one chance to do things many times. I just say go ahead and do it. So that would be my message to everyone. Do it by yourself. Do it with someone that you care about. We are doing this together. We have done it also independently, and it's great. Adventure travel is great. There's a lot of community and camaraderie out there. You meet a lot of cool people. Just be mindful that everyone is different. Respect everyone else's choices in terms of how they do it, when they do it, and where they do it, and you'll have a lot of fun. Um, I don't know if
That's perfect.
Yeah, so anyone that wants to find us, my channel's the same everywhere. TesLatino on X and on YouTube. If they want to visit me on Instagram, which I'm trying to get better at, is TesLatino_official.
You know, I've known you for years, and even though I know your actual real name, I'm never calling you anything but TesLatino. It's who you are to me, to your core. And by the way, as TesLatinos, go ahead, Edward Beck.
I was gonna say good branding, and I loved your message, dude. It resonates with me a lot because my wife and I 6-7 years ago, in our mid-30s, we both like quit our jobs, or I quit my job. She has like a private, and we traveled the world. And it's one of those things where like you will never regret the actions you took. It's the stuff that you didn't do. So I
Yeah.
love that. I mean, maybe there are people listening that are kind of on the fence about like, should I go do this or not? And what you're saying is absolutely right. You're not going to regret it if you take a chance and just do it.
Right.
Yeah, my goals tend to be massive. That ensure that I have good accomplishments. Like I'm already thinking, oh, what is the next adventure after this expedition that I'm doing? And I'm gonna say it public. I want to do 2 massive adventures that are not in planning yet, but I want to do them, and I don't care if anyone else does them. I just want to do them. I want to go from the North Pole to the South Pole in a Tesla, and I also want to cross over the Bering Sea from Alaska to Russia. When the political arena is not so complicated. So if anyone knows how to do those 2 things and wants to help me out do them, let me know.
Well,
And if you guys want to link up with TesLatino and Nancy on the road, find the wandering TesLatino. He has a box of the special edition Starman comic that you can either only get from select locations in Southern California, or go find TesLatino in person, bring your kids, grab a book. It's a lot of fun. They're fantastic people. And guys, thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of the Tesla Geek Show. And to everyone watching, we look forward to having you back for more.